it's a long road in terms of studying psychology, being able to be in that field, because apparently here in South Africa you need to have masters or PhD in terms of practicing psychology. It's another thing that I've seen, and it's really tough. And I just want to go back to creativity and mental health as a whole, in trying to integrate it. How have you let me rephrase this question. Have you tried integrating creativity and psychology within your clients?
Sorry, within my way?
Towards your clients in terms of being a psychologist?
I'm not. I don't practice as a psychologist.
Oh, so you just in the field of psychology?
I create illustrated self-help maps.
Oh, okay. Actually, I think let's get into that. Actually, in what way did you in terms of let's try this? Did you have any difficulties in terms of creating awareness around mental health? As you know that there's a big stigma around mental health in terms of people taking care of it or taking care of their mental health, of not talking about it. How has your role of creating that awareness? How has your role creating that awareness?
Well, I mean, I went into therapy very early on when I was 26, so that was in the 80s, and there was a lot of stigma around then, but it didn't seem to bother me a lot because I was in therapy and I thought it was a great thing to do and it helped me. So, I think now there's still a lot of stigma, and also depends obviously where you live. That's also important. But there's a lot of help out there. And I think the stigma sometimes lives within people rather than the fact that there isn't any outreach. So, of course, to go to therapy in the UK can be expensive if you don't try and get it for free. But in order to get it for free, you have to be on long waiting lists. So it is a catch-22. But there are different ways. And as I said, there's helplines. There's many ways to get help or to at least start talking about it. But as I said, people are kind of, some people find it really difficult to talk about their problems and they'd rather not talk about their problems. And other people, the young generation today, I think, is better than my generation when we were young. I think they feel freer to talk about their problems. It's not so difficult for many people to say, I need to get some help. Some people do it with tablets, they go to the doctor and say, maybe I have some, I'm feeling depressed, can I have antidepressants. Other people reach out to and want some therapy, maybe. Some people reach out to a helpline. But of course, here in the UK as well, there's still, especially at work, I think it's still very difficult. People don't like to show that there's something wrong with them because they don't want the employer to think, that they have a weakness or something, which is completely wrong, really, because we all have mental health issues and it's good to talk about it. But I think in a work environment, it still can be quite difficult.
And I've seen it in terms of, it's like that thing in terms of an individual that has a company and a person that openly say that they have mental issues, where I feel like in a way there's this stigma, as you've said, there's a stigma around of, no, you are crazy. And as you know, that mental health is something that is seen as, if you have mental issues, people think that you are crazy and you are not right in the head. It's something that within my community, as in Black people.
Is that so in your community? I mean, is that
in a way mental health is
prevalent?
Yes, a lot. And it's something that people don't acknowledge that there's this thing called depression, there's this thing called anxiety. And when a person is like that, they are ridiculed in a way of people end up saying that they have been bewitched in a way, because it is a traditional community. It's still stuck in the old days of
I
not.
understand. Yeah, of course.
So it's quite difficult in terms of trying by any means to create that awareness around mental health, to create that thing of it's okay to be not okay. Yeah, there's this thing there's this thing called depression, there's this thing called anxiety, there's this thing called bipolar, and it's quite difficult in a way of trying by any means to promote it, to keep young people engaging. It's something that I've been trying to do, not educate per se young people. I'm planning on educating children in terms of at a younger age, trying by any means to visit schools in a way of saying, no, you could teach about this, so that they could know it at a lower level, and when they arrive, when they face upon it, they know, okay, this is this thing that we are taught at school. Because one thing that I've realized, children memorize things that they were taught in school. Because, for example, I haven't forgotten some things that I was taught in primary. So it is quite a conversation that I am trying to push. It's quite a conversation that I'm trying to put it out there. And also another thing is the fact of this thing. I forgot that what I was about to say actually. But in overall, next question in terms of the menopause guides, someone who hesitant to try self-help tools, what would you say are the biggest benefits of using a menopause guide?
So what's the benefit from using them?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because they're just they're quite gentle self-help maps. So you might be familiar with a self-help book.
Yeah.
You know, there are self-help books out there, and not everybody reads a whole book. You know, the younger generation, they don't have as much. You know, they like being on their phone more than anything else. So I'm not saying they don't read, but not everybody has the attention span. And so because I'm a designer, I wanted to create a self-help tool that was about visual learning, because visual learning is really important, I think. Sometimes I find it's underrated. It also helps with neurodiversity. You know, it can help with many things. And so the maps are very colorful. And they are also, we put in quite a bit of fun as well, because I believe that, you know, although mental health is serious, but because we all have some sort of mental health issues, I talk about mine quite openly. So I think it's quite nice to be a little bit lighthearted about it. I think it takes it out of the stigma if you, put a little bit of fun into it as well. So that's what we do as well. So they're very colorful. We put a lot of fun into it, and we're guiding somebody through a map so they become more self-aware. So they gain some self-awareness about themselves.
I love the fact that you mentioned that you put it fun within it. As much as mental health is something serious, but at some point we as adults, as young adults, we need to just reach out and find our inner child. That's where I feel like that's where we improve in terms of mental well-being, in terms of that. So in a way, you said that would you say that it's like a coloring book in terms of the map?
It's not a coloring book. It's not a coloring book.
Can you describe it in a way?
Yes, of course. So it's a fold-out map. So it's A6, but it folds out to A2, and it's fully illustrated. So there's nothing to color in. It's fully colored already. And we use text as well, and we use metaphors. So not sure do you understand what a metaphor is, maybe? So
Yes, yeah, I understand it.
So we use a metaphor to make it easier for the reader. So I'll give you an example. We have a map called How to Grow You Know. And this map is all about learning how to say no. So as a metaphor, we used a greenhouse and plants, because what we were saying is in order to get a plant, you have to have a seed, and a seed grows into a plant. And the same happens with saying no. If somebody is not able to say no, they're not going to be able to say no within one day. That doesn't work. It's a transition. And saying no is nuanced. There's a different way how you would say no to your best friend, or how you would say no to somebody in authority. There's different ways of saying no. So we take people through this in the map, but because it's a greenhouse and it's got plants, people understand plants. And so we try and make it easier for them to understand the theme, the subject.
It's quite interesting. I never, in terms of it's quite interesting, and it's something that it's a new tool within my knowledge that I'm trying. It's the first time I'm hearing from it. It's quite interesting. And is it available only at UK or?
No, I mean, it's available online, and we ship internationally. So we ship everywhere.
So in terms of, what is the website in terms of if someone wants to buy it?
It's mapologyguides.com.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. So you have, as someone turning 60 with the knowledge of experience, what's the one piece of advice, of wisdom you would share with our listeners on living a meaningful life?
One piece of advice. I suppose, I love a quote that says, the unexamined life is not worth living. They say it's by Socrates, which is a philosopher many, many years ago. But I think they're not quite sure where it comes from. But so my piece of advice is, if you can gain some self-awareness in your life, that will help you a lot. And the other bit of advice that goes with that is, information is king. Because if you have information, whatever information, you can make decisions and you can make better choices. And you might not make them now. You might make them in 5 years' time. But if you don't have good information, then you're reading, different people are telling you things to do, not to do, and you get confused, and you start doing things because other people tell you maybe to do them. So gain your own information, have your own little black book where you see what you like in life, what you choose, what you're drawn to, and gain some self-awareness. I think without self-awareness, it's difficult to go through life.